historically is an heritage before my both parents, my father, my late father and my mother, and they were the one who set up not only the style but the type of services that they like. They don't like very robotic, they don't like surfing like on the big hotels. They want to be genuinely personality of our staff. They want to be those personality taking a major role the way they serve. Of course, they have the minimum, they have the technical minimum that they have to comply with, but those are according to the taste of my both parents. I think that is we cannot go too far from that. But in my era, I have to make it more manageable because I don't have their personality, I don't have their charisma, so I have to be able to make what we call today SOP, for example. So, but those standards, I think we can still see and we can still feel in Tanjung Sari today. So, because this is the extensions of their private home, so we can still feel that the services in Tanjung Sari is extensions of our house. I mean, the house of the Wawo-Runtus. Now we have to translate that into the management. It's not a big deal, but it was not easy in my era because the staff are quite seniors compared to me when I came in 86. They have years practice of working in Tanjung Sari, so I have to be able to manage the differences, what I want and what they have. So that is the key. The key is they are very charming people. The most difficult is to be able to implement what is a high standard and high quality and mostly very visual. My father is a very visual person. So if something is not balanced, is not proportioned, he can spot it out immediately. And that is very, very crucial. And we cannot move one table, we cannot move one chair to different side. So we have to be very, very careful on that. And that's number one. Number two, what is the most important is my father's network, friends. They are very precious. And his connection is worldwide. Probably some of them, they still come into Tanjung Sari today. Some of them, maybe they are very senior, very, very old, maybe. And they're not traveling anymore, I suppose. That is the style that we have to be able to adjust and accommodate between very personal approach, but still to be manageable. Those two are the key, actually. Sometimes it's not easy to understand what is our parents want to be implemented in Tanjung Sari. So we have to be very sensitive. We have to be very sensible on how to put the situations. For example, there is one day that in the swimming pool before, there is a stool and there is bar inside the pool. The pool is very, very small. And of course, it's very dangerous for children. So my father was, because he loves drinks and he loves socialized drinks, and it's not nice to have children around on the very small pools. So we were thinking the children not allowed to go to swimming pool, and that is difficult. So we make restrictions a little bit in that time, but it's not very successful. We cannot forbid the children to go to swimming pool. those kind of issue is raising problem at that time. As we grew up from our childhood, the dining room is our living room at that time. I always remember every Christmas is the family gathering, and our father always organized games for the children, a lot of gifts for the end of the year, and especially Christmas. that is what we can be related with those events. Those are the soul of the family gathering, and which is the dining room today. And I've heard the explanations from Papi that there is a little shrine under the tree Juwet itu. There is a little shrine. That shrine was appointed by Papi's father. So those little things, it's make it everything very precious. I think what we call soul today. And therefore I'm always looking at the pohon Juwet, the Juwet tree, that has to be very careful because not going to die, because those shape, the U shape of the restaurant today, that was the last design of Papi before it was renovated. This is the last renovations designed by Papi. So the soul of Tanjung Sari is what we heritage from him, the legacy, and the spirit of Tanjung Sari. I call it the spirit, the ideas and what is precious today of Tanjung Sari. I think that is the soul of Tanjung Sari. Where it can go now, that's interesting questions, very interesting. This Tanjung Sari, I think, if we can understand the history of art, this is what we call post-colonial, architecturally as a post-colonial, very romantic. The design is also looks, all the perspective on architecture we can see is still have this, although it's vernacular architecture, but also the post-colonial romanticism. There is a lot of hotels today emphasize on the design and architecture. Maybe more modern, maybe more minimalistic, but I don't think we can bring this Tanjung Sari soul to another place. Let's say we want to build another second Tanjung Sari. I don't think we can just copy and bring it there. And that will be difficult, and I don't think that will be successful. I'm afraid that is the most challenging questions. We have raised those issues in 1993. We wanted to have a second Tanjung Sari, but we didn't succeed because it's very difficult, very difficult. But to answer the question, what will be the next soul of Tanjung Sari? The next soul of Tanjung Sari is how to adapt ourselves into the future generations of tourism. And the directions will be, Tanjung Sari has always been very good with the community. I think we have to bring the story more about where Tanjung Saris belong among the communities. And I think that is the key. We cannot go too far from that. We cannot go to, because Sanur has become a small city now. It's not a village anymore. So we have to be careful. We have to be really close to the community. Yeah, this is the illustrations. I want to say the illustrations of how influential people gather at that time. At that time, if we sit at the bar, say half an hour we sit in the bar, we can easily know our neighbor. Our next chair is maybe Mr. Ambassador, maybe film director, or the next of our chair maybe a filmmaker, writer. Those are those personalities who really always came to Tanjung Sari at that time. But for us, I mean, we don't know their works, their implications culturally and their countries. So we still feel that we are villagers from Sanur, so we don't have those immediate impact who they are. But we know they are very, very important people. Of course, they are highly cultured people, highly intellectual people, and most of them very famous. But for us, being here with them is the most blessed and a lot of gratitude. And I think that was what makes us always reminding us that we have to be very humble on it. And we learned a lot. We got a lot of connections from them, and they appreciate what we are doing. Make sure that they're really happy they are here. What I remember with Mr. late Issey Miyake, if I'm not mistaken, he came to Tanjung Sari twice. One of his visits, it was very memorable for me because he stayed in Tanjung Sari and I have to took him to Jenggala Ceramic. And at that time, Jenggala Ceramic is still behind our house in Batu Jimbar. So I picked him up around 11 o'clock, and then we went to Jenggala, and I have to show everything, how we do to Jenggala, how Jenggala was doing the productions, etc., etc. And I have to escort him to explore what kind of product he might be interested. So we came 11, we finished around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I have to make sure that everybody's help him during his search for something, because he mentioned to me that he was building vacations house, a bungalow house next to the beach in Japan. I don't know where exactly on the beach. And then when we finished 3 o'clock in the afternoon, almost 4 hours, 5 hours, and he only bought 2 bowls of this 4 hours or 5 hours explore in Jenggala. It was amazing because I remember him as a very charismatic man, very visually, very detailed, and everything for him is, the power of his eyes, his judgment by, he can spend hours just to look at one product, spend hours. And that is teach me that something that we don't have to be consumerism. You have to know exactly what you want, what you need. Not really what you want, but what do you need. And those discipline of your knowledge, your creativity apply when you buy something. With that afternoon, he taught me a lot of things in life. So he doesn't need to buy ceramic, because ceramics in Japan, they have plenty. So actually he really wants to explore what we have in Jenggala at that time. He was an amazing man. And I still always remember in my mind, he always very meticulous what he is interact with people, object, where he stand. Yeah, he was a great man. I have experienced so many performing arts at that time. The most important during managing Tanjung Sari at that time is the conference of the mosque. That was very important for me, because if you spend Tanjung Sari starting in the morning until in the night, you can see the lights and the perspective. Tanjung Sari give a different atmosphere. If you wake up in the morning until in the night, you can see in each angle of Tanjung Sari is very different. And this is a magic, and we have to capture this and make this magic happening. So how to translate this? The only way we can do it by doing a lot of performance, different performance. We did, I think the conference of the mosque is 3 days, 3 nights, and we bring performing arts from local great mass dancers. We brought from Cirebon, mass from Cirebon. We also bring from Banyuwangi, and we also bring dangdut. It's a popular music loved by the communities. What is interesting in that moment is that we wanted those performing arts happen on the beach in Tanjung Sari, so all the villagers community can come and enjoy it. And that is the great message what Tanjung Sari can do actually in terms of performing arts. And I think everybody was very happy. They can really enjoy those 3 nights. We also brought troops. For example, Ibu, I forgot her name. the great dancer, masked dancer from Cirebon. We also played in front of the temple in the village. So before he performed in Tanjung Sari, in the afternoon we performed also in the village. And this is a great lesson also for us, that the performing arts is not only bring from the performing art troops from outside Bali, but we also have our foundations troupe. And the story of performance Tanjung Sari Foundation it was dedicated for, in general, for Balinese culture, but also for Ibu Reneng. She's a great dancer, great teacher. That she was doing a lot for Pelegongan Bali, Pelegongan dance. And that time we knew that was her last moment. She was quite old, and then we wanted her to be able to transmit her knowledge about dance through Tanjung Sari Foundations. "11 years ago, I moved out from Sanur, moved to Jimbaran. You know, this is a big message for me. We grew up in Tanjung Sari and then we moved to Batu Jimbar. And what is the great story actually? Sanur is developed organically. There is no planning. When I was 6 years old, I took a bus from Kediri, Jawa Timur. 6 years old, by myself. And I forgot how that the bus arrived in Denpasar like 3 o'clock in the morning. So there is no bus or there is no BMO can take me from Denpasar to Batu Jimbar. And that time, the road to go to Batu Jimbar, starting from Banjarsindu, there is no road. So we have to pass somebody's house. Maybe 3 kilometers we have to go everybody's houses. I have to take dog-cart from. This is the only transportation I can get from the bus station at that time in Denpasar called Suci. Bus station Suci. It doesn't exist anymore. And every 100 meters I pass with that dog-cart came 100 dogs. Every 100 meters there is 100 dogs follow me. I can still remember the images. I can still remember the smell, the aroma in that time. To tell you what? To tell you that we are living what we call urban typology urban, which is what we call village or city, actually is only parallel to the beach. We don't have anything else. Why? Because the village is, the closest village of Tanjung Sari and Batu Jimbar is Intaran, which is 3 kilometers from here. That's the village. Here is not village. Here is only us living here. And today we hear that there is, next to our neighbors, there is a mall. I think I have to sit back and really think that we have to be ready to face further development, which is beyond our control. And we have to really put our efforts to understand that the future development is not physical. The future development is our creativity, our intelligence, because the damage has been done. I'm not complaining about the changes. We cannot stop the change. But we have to understand that we lost most of the beauty in Bali. That is very important to understand, to contemplate, to meditate, that we lost a lot of beauties and we don't know how to replace them. So yes, I'm thinking a lot about that. I'm thinking about how the next generations can cope with the very aggressive development, and this have to be addressed. So hopefully Tanjung Sari can still resist not only physically, but the spirit has to be able to have a place in every development. Yeah, changes and development we cannot avoid. It will happen. But bear in mind, we lost a lot of beauties. So has to be addressed. I'm thinking a lot about the next generations of tourism. The next tourism is not about beautiful pictures, not about beautiful beaches or like postcard, because we learned so much about how climate change disturbs how human could live in the future. So for me, the next generations of tourism is regenerative hospitality. Those who really have the same value, how can we interact in the defined community, like performing or doing weaving or expression of art. And those are the pocket of community that can stand up together and build to be able to change not only the environment, but social and culture. So the next generations of tourism, those who really wants to get involved with this community that I just described. Probably today we hear a lot about loss of forest. Forest has been damaged. Maybe we can make some program to do reforestations, for example. Bali has 38,000 hectares of forest in West Bali. There is 11,000 and the very bad conditions, the forest. So every year we hear there is flooding in West Bali because the forest and the top and the highest altitude area has been, they're doing some illegal logging. And this is the next generations of tourism. It's not anymore about beauty, not romanticism like we have in Tanjung Sari, where they can always stay in Tanjung Sari, but the motive, it will be different. It's not anymore for just spending vacations, but doing something for community. And that is the future tourism.